Hi everyone, welcome to ELI, the place where you get your daily dose of inspiration for entrepreneurship. And today we have with us Mr. Siddharth Bhatter, who is the founder and CEO of Karkhana Makerspace, a co-working and maker workshop. Siddharth is a mentor at Atal Innovation Mission and is also a guest faculty at NIFT Delhi. Hi Siddharth, welcome to Entrepreneur Lounge of India.
Thanks, Priyanjan, for inviting for the interview.
Siddharth, I would request you to introduce yourself to our audience, please.
As already you have started the introductions, I will just add a few more things.
Hmm.
I'm simple graduate from one of the engineering college in India, as everyone do that. But once I started my journey, like I was a bit passionate about self-learning and all. So I started my career towards the entrepreneurship and research, basically, mostly into the domain of electronics and embedded system that I usually like. And then from there my career has been started, and then I started my workshop that you have already told. So in that workshop, I what my personal intention is to open that lab for the public, right? Usually what we have is after our college hours or after our school hours, we don't have a place to go and work around and make our hands dirty. So using and with that aim, I have opened that lab. So that's my little bit brief. And I am also a guest speaker and faculty for many of the prestigious colleges in India, preferably in the domain of IoT and embedded. And we are also associated with many of the universities as their mentor and program coordinator. So this is a little bit brief about me.
Right. Now, I would like to know more about the venture you have built, the Karkhana workspace or makerspace.
All right.
Sorry.
So basically, if I talk about my venture Karkhana Makerspace, so Makerspace is a very new concept in India, and if I simply say, many of the people doesn't know about it, right?
Hmm.
But if I simply say what Makerspace is, the word itself say where anybody, like suppose you are a painter or you are an artist or you are some like any metal worker, so you can come to my workshop, you can use my space, you can use my tools. I will give you full liberty to use space, right? But obviously it's a private facility, so you have to pay for that.
Hmm.
So uh, we are the first in Odisha. Basically, we have opened our first makerspace in Odisha,
Hmm.
just keeping in mind we want a place to have hands-on things for the students, right? Or maybe those who are in companies or in job sectors, right? So eventually we have started our journey from there, and we get a very good response all around the India. And the name like Karkhana is basically, we always see in India Karkhana is basically a factory. So my aim and dream is to make that space as a factory where people come and build. So that's all about my venture, and where in my space we usually build skills, because without skills you cannot do anything, right? So we add up skills so that you can do your work properly, right? We channelize the students to a proper pathway. We also help startups to build their products, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And then we have also worked with NCRT and many other startups to build their products or a POC, proof of concept, before jumping into the final phase.
Hmm. Hmm. So, can you give some examples like what kind of products has been built in your Karkhana or no?
Right. So basically, since 2016, when we have started, after 1.5 year, we got a contact from NCRT where we have developed a pre-primary learning kit from them. Okay, so we have designed around 7 to 8 products for them using the 3D printing or acrylic prototyping. Then I can't reveal the name of the product; it's some confidential. But after that, we have designed our own IoT-based product, like a smart IoT switch, and we have supplied around 500 pieces so far. And we basically not directly jump into the distribution system. We always work on R&D preferably, and work for some other partners, and they do the distribution part and the networking part. Then we have created one of the product which we have recently shown in Odisha's uh, sports festival, India's sports festival, in Kalinga Stadium 2020. That is related to the tracking of a sports person, you can say motion basically, where we can track the hockey, because hockey is our national game. So we have designed a small chip which you can install on a hockey stick, and you can track the motion of your stick, where it is exactly going, and what's the force, what's the angle. So this is the few products that we have designed so far.
Very interesting. So now I would like to get into the uh, initial phase of Karkhana work. I'm sorry, Karkhana Makerspace. So how did you come up with the
Mhm.
idea? That is, it's a very unique idea that you are working on. How did you come up with the idea, and how did you arrange the initial resources needed to build something like this?
Okay, so basically, yeah, see, like I am from Delhi, and I just visited Odisha for some of the small work. But when I visited Odisha, what I have seen is I have seen a potential market, right? Now, if you see India is basically divided into two to three parts, right? If you see the proper northern region, they are a bit advanced and modern. But if you go to south, the southeastern part, they're still a little bit, you can say, back from our northern side. And if you go to eastern zones, like I'm talking about the states like West Bengal, Odisha, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, they're still developing, right? So when I visited Odisha, I have seen like many of the people are coming to Odisha just for education. Means I have like initiate that thought in my mind and ignite that thought in my mind. Like Odisha will be the biggest education hub in our eastern region after West Bengal, right? Because many of the top colleges are situated in Odisha, and it's a also a port near to us as coastal area. So obviously it will be a next tourism sector. So more people will attract towards it. So I started my this thinking process towards the entrepreneurship when I was doing job in one of the MNC. So eventually I got an idea, the problem that I have personally faced in my college life. Why should people suffer for that, right? So after doing all the brainstorming and thinking process, I have started my journey with a very small, just you can say, um, like a bootstrap thing or thing. I have taken a one small room where I started simply online promotion, like I am doing this in Odisha, in Bhubaneswar, and eventually people connected with me, right? Then after that, what I get is like I get a very good response within a month, just because people are actually looking for that type of thing in Odisha, right? And what I have seen is as we grown up with the time, we actually lost our innovation part, right? Once we are as we are in fifth class or fourth class, we have a lot of toys to break through, right? But once we grow up and go in ninth class, 10th class, or eventually in 12th class, we only focus on marks and all. But obviously marks are not everything. So we have seen, like I have personally seen, why not give them a space. So in April 2016, I have finally inaugurated my first makerspace with the savings that I have till date. We are bootstrapped, and it's a single it's a non-funded organization, self-sustained organization, right? And then a very small facility of 800 square feet with a small set of tools and everything. We have started our journey. So that's all about my venture starting.
Hmm. And how was your first day of entrepreneurship like? What was the, you left your job and you started on your own? What was the first day like?
So, as every graduate, like parents are more concerned, like what my child will do after leaving the job and all. So, obviously, after leaving my first job, I first of all stuck for 1.5 months at home because just it's a thinking process. Now, what should I do? Should I pursue my dream or should I go for next job, right? So I also parallelly look for many jobs in market. But what I have seen is like just sitting on a laptop from morning 9 to evening 6 o'clock and doing nothing means is just a downfall for my life, right? And it's a very true story. When I was working in MNC, it's been around I think 1.5 or something 1 year. Then eventually one day I just seeing some blogs, and in 2014 around many like that era is the biggest era of entrepreneurship in India. Many startups are starting, right? So that time I thought, why should not I start my own journey? Like, why should I work for someone and getting paid, like you can say, just 1% of my efforts? Okay. So at that time, I simply drop and resign, and I say, no, brother, I will start my own, and you have to make an impact. So from that time onwards, I started my journey. Looking forward, India will be the biggest electronics hub in India, right, around the world after China. And still, I'm fighting for that because if you see, almost 70 to 80% people want to be in the software industry, right? Remaining 20-30 will jump into the core and all, because like here people look only for the job first, not towards the entrepreneurship, but eventually they get into the people who is doing entrepreneurship, right? So that's the part. I have started my journey towards it.
Right. So let's talk about electronics. I think this is the core area you have been working on, and most of the products have been around, electronics and related fields.
Yes.
So now I would like to hear your comments or your views on the fact that COVID has happened, and
Right.
the global hub for electronics has been China for some time.
Right.
How do you see? I think many of the countries are banning China from doing business with them, and how do you see India as a next potential hub for electronics market? When it comes to manufacturing of phones or laptops. I tell you what I know, or what I have heard from different people who are into this domain.
Right.
I think for manufacturing electronics product, especially the core products like chips or microprocessors, uh, they need
Mhm.
a lot of infrastructure investment that is not there
Right.
in India, especially the nano chips which are used in mobile phones. So uh, billions and billions of dollars are needed to be invested in India for it to achieve at least some level of China's capacity. What is your thought, or what is your view on that?
So, right, Priya, you have said right, like millions and millions of dollars, billions of dollars is going to invest on single fab unit. But as what I what I have seen in India potential is we have a quite cheap labor, okay,
Hmm,
and till date what companies are doing is they are just manufacturing from the other countries, coming to India and assembling it, right?
hmm,
Because importing a finished product in India will cost you more than by importing a raw materials and assemble it over and sell it, right?
hmm,
So if even if you can see after Singapore and Taiwan and China, India is one of the most preferred assembly hub,
hmm,
right? In India, you can simply hire a person in 8 to 10,000, and he will work for you for a month, right? And he can do the same work for many years. But
hmm,
if you talk about the manufacturing part and fabrication part, so still India need at least 5 to 10 years to make that level after Japan and China, because in India that there are two factors that are lagging behind.
hmm,
Billionaires are already there in India, right? They can easily invest and set up a fabrication lab. But setting up a fabrication lab doesn't solve the problem because it also requires the amount of other factors, like you need proper water resource, you need 24 into 7 energy resource, you need silicon like raw material, right? So these are the major factors that are actually creating a hamper for setting up a lab, right?
Hmm.
But if you talk about the next level fabrication, like after chip manufacturing, we come to circuit designing and
Hmm.
PCB designing and PCB fabrication. So those units we have in India, but not in major sector. Like if you go to Bangalore and Gujarat and Bombay, right? Even in Delhi also.
Hmm.
So there are various chip manufacturers which create PCBs and assembling, right? But what happen is once you design a PCB, still you need a person who do lot of R&D, right?
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
suppose a simple Diwali light, I can say example of simple Diwali light. So if you talk about a circuit of a Diwali light, that circuit is based on controller or processor, right? A controller. So that controller is still we are importing from outside,
Hmm.
okay?
Hmm.
And in China or in any other countries, if we see people are getting trained on these type of small stuffs from the childhood age. But in India, we only learn this thing after 10 plus 2. Okay. And so that's the biggest gap. Now the new education policy is being launched few days back. So maybe it will give you a good result after few years, not now, because just coding is not the solution of everything. Like what I personally prefer is coding is not the solution of everything, because on which device you will do coding? That device is made up of electronics, obviously, right? So you can see it's been 70 years of our independence, but till date we don't have a single motherboard manufacturer or computer manufacturer in India. But we produce biggest number of like largest number of engineers throughout the world, right? So there's that basic difference. Like we have that lack of taking risks and doing something, right? We want to be more secure. That's the problem. We are not boosting up in electronic sector or any other sector, basically.
Hmm. So what I gather from here, we have the skilled labor or the skill sets to do something, but what
Right.
we are lacking is the infrastructure.
Exactly.
Hmm. Hmm. So again, my question would again revolve around that. Talking about printed circuit boards or what you call as PCB, or there is another type of
Right.
use case called ASIC or application specific integrated circuits.
Mhm.
So these sort
Right.
of things they require a lot of R&D, yeah, but again their custom solutions provided to custom use cases, right? But in electronics there are two types of component. There are some fundamental components like the chips are there or the microprocessors are there, registers, capacitors are there, and then there are customized solutions that can be built out
Yeah.
of these things. So
Right.
the second part is where India is doing well. I think Indian electronics engineers are working mm, predominantly in the second part. The first part
Right.
to build it. Uh, what do you think? Do we have enough research or the skill sets that are required apart from the infrastructure investment?
So basically, see, like R&D has been done in India, right? And many like every year we produce a lot of PhD guys and research engineers. But as per your perspective, and you have also seen a market
Hmm.
in India after PhD, most of the people join college as a teacher, right?
Hmm.
But what we have seen in other countries, after PhD, you collab with any of the company where you can invest your time in their R&D, right? And you get a most innovative product,
Hmm.
right? Second most important thing, why Indian products are not working in India is, like suppose we have a geophone, right? But if you say, are you using geophone? So it's no, right?
Hmm.
Because investing a 1500 rupees on a small geophone, you will get a smartphone in 4000 rupees, right?
Hmm.
So the first problem is innovation has been done in India. Many of the startups in Bangalore or in Delhi have created a lot of innovative products, But when we talk about the market, the consumer market, right,
mm,
the cost that we use to invest in innovation, R&D, and production is very high. And in the second phase, if you talk about China, the same product China will develop in 1/8 of the cost,
mm,
right? And
mm,
that will work in India.
mm.
So that's the major problem that we face in India between the Indian R&D to the consumer and the Chinese R&D to the consumer.
Then there is another aspect I would like to share with you. The products made by Chinese companies, they're in sync with the market need, or people's need. What they
Right,
need is smartphones which has which can play this particular game, or which can do this particular function. So that is where the Chinese phones are evolving. But when you look at the Geo phone, or any of the Indian phones, phones manufactured in India, they do not meet the expectations of the consumers. So the same happened with the
right,
Micromax, or any homegrown smartphone makers. So
right. So
uh,
basically, just Priya, I
hmm,
want to add one thing.
hmm,
This basically happened because your reason is we don't do any kind of analysis, okay, and research before jumping into the production, right? We
hmm,
have to do lot of survey.
hmm,
Now, if you see, just to take a simple example of a company like MI or OnePlus.
hmm,
Now, if they are launching their high-end and premium category smartphones, they
hmm,
obviously see the market, who are their competitors, right, all around the globe. What
hmm,
are the apps that are going to be used on their smartphone, and what are their apps compatibility,
hmm,
right?
hmm,
And if you talk about the computer also, so as a general user, we simply buy any laptop. But if you talk about the graphic processing, like graphic designer laptops and architecture laptops, so those are also different configurations.
hmm,
So before designing any product, we have to do a lot of survey. What will work in India? What will not work in India? Like that.
hmm. Right. So, what I can gather from here, there is a disconnect between what Indian engineers are doing, and what Indian consumers are uh, uh, demanding or wanting, right? But Chinese industries or Chinese companies have solved this problem. They are closer to the customer, and they're catering it well because of that, right? So having said that, what are the areas you see in terms of electronics, or in terms of whatever new opportunities are rising, where Indian entrepreneurs who are skilled enough, or who can get into this particular sector should venture into? What are the gaps that can be captured, and you can make a business out of it in this particular
So
area?
I will just simple give a one example of a company that is 3M, right? So
Hmm,
3M is a company which almost manufacture the basic necessity of the world, whether it is an industry, consumer, or a simple shopkeeper, right? Now,
hmm,
if I say in India, we always either dream very high, like I will make a iPhone like company,
hmm,
or we always make a dream very low, right?
hmm,
But what we have seen in India is the upper class, right? The rich guys
hmm,
are very, you can say very less in India. Like I can say around 2-3 lakh. But the major junk that we have in India is lower class. Like not even I'm saying middle, it's a lower class.
hmm,
Okay, those are the end users.
hmm, hmm,
Now, if you can fulfill their dream with your products, like I will give you a simple example. Just 4 years back, we
hmm,
have a smartphone users in India, but
hmm,
that junk or that bulk users are only from middle class or upper middle class, right?
hmm,
Those who can purchase 10-12,000 rupees of smartphone.
hmm,
But
hmm,
eventually, when Xiaomi came into India, they
hmm,
launched their smartphone in 5,000 rupees. Now, 5,000 rupees a month is not a big deal for any person. Now, after 2014 and 15, when Xiaomi came into the game, you can see every single person, either a rickshawala or any shopkeeper or any burger, everyone has a smartphone, right? So that's the game changing point. And if you talk about the television also, then having a 43-inch LCD will cost you around 55,000 in India. But then again, Xiaomi came to the game. Then they launched a 43-inch screen TV in 24,000 rupees. Now 24,000 is affordable, and either a smart TV, right? It's also a smart TV. So that's the game-changing point in India, because we as an Indian always have a habit of purchasing anything in a very less amount. Okay, we want everything sasta, right? So if even if you go to market and you have two smartphones, like one is iPhone, one is OnePlus, you always going to purchase a OnePlus, right? Because that's biggest, like you can say, like it's a high specification device with a low price. Okay, but you don't go for a quality. That's the, like, there is a general there is a category who always prefer a quality, but major will not prefer towards the brand and the quality they maintain. So in India, we also have to think of from that angle in electronic sector.
Hmm. Right.
And the gap that you talk about is the gap. That gap is only be fulfilled when people like of our age, young age, should start dreaming of innovating and building up their skills. Then only it will be possible, man.
Hmm. But yeah, so uh, talking about cheaper phones is one thing, but again, if you look at the other industries, for example, the look at the mobile apps built by Indian companies, they're also partly not as good as the apps made by Chinese companies or maybe American companies. So there is no wonder that WhatsApp is dominating the messaging part. There is no Facebook, Indian version of Facebook. There is no Indian version of TikTok. Even though TikTok has been banned, nobody has been able to replace the TikTok, not even a prototype, right? So what is stopping Indian people? I think Indian people are far more educated and far more knowledgeable compared to the workforce that is there in US or China.
So, like, it's a very good question, Priya, because this question will always hit many of the people mind.
Hmm.
But if I give you a very simple example, in India we have a big IT firms, right? Like I will say TCS, Infosys,
Hmm.
Accenture, oh, many other companies are there, right? Now, if you see the culture they have built in India, and if you compare the MNCs based out of Silicon Valley, like I can say Google, Microsoft, or any other companies,
Hmm. Hmm.
they always look forward with the consumer,
Okay.
right? From initial days, like when Google set up, they always think we have to build something for consumer. When Microsoft set up, they always think we have to build something for consumers,
Hmm.
right? That's why nowadays they are the big giant. Okay, but if you talk about the Indian companies, they always work for other companies, right? They take the projects and they work on them, but they never think of to launching their own product for the consumers,
Hmm.
right? They are having a brilliant set of people. They are having a brilliant mindset in their industry, in their premises, but
Hmm.
still the people that are being developing something there, they are not actually doing something for themselves or for India. They are
Hmm.
developing something for someone else, and those companies are coming back to India and giving us the product,
Hmm.
right? So this channel is a very you can say major role player in India. And as a single developer, no, it's not like people are not developing anything in India, but it's not getting popularized,
Hmm.
right? Reason is, like, we have seen you can say replica of TikTok is Chingari. Okay, so if you see the Chingari app, it's got, I think, 1 million plus downloads within few weeks. But the problem is people will not take care of the Chingari part, right? People will not download Chingari part, because reason is, once you have a habit of using one app, you will take some time to switch to another app. Okay, I will simply say, why not everyone use Telegram? Why only using WhatsApp? Because we got habitual with the WhatsApp part. Okay, so we will not go to Telegram and do the same thing, or we will not go to Facebook Messenger and do the same thing, right? So what we see is always, as a Indian companies, they will not prefer doing wasting their time on innovation,
Hmm.
right? Or even if they do, they will always do a copy and paste. A very live example is GeoMeet,
Hmm.
right? If you have used GeoMeet, it's a simple copy paste of Zoom. Now
Hmm.
you can think a company like Geo, which got a recent investor on 65,000 crores approximately, they
Hmm.
can't invest 1 crore rupees and hire a good developer from IIT, and they will create an innovative and
Hmm.
customized UI for them, right?
Right.
So, so that's the basic difference, right? They have copied a single thing from a Zoom, and the excuse they have given, like Zoom is the best architecture, Zoom has the best preferred structure, UI. So, boss, why not you create your own and make it the best out of the world?
Hmm.
During this pandemic time, many of the companies have, like many of the startups have been started, but it's still just replicating the other one,
Hmm.
right? If you give a single 1% innovation in your product, you can make a big hype.
Hmm. But then there is another, logic behind it. What I have heard from many people that why Reliance did it was Zoom is more familiar with the customer. So when they build a replica, it is more likely that people would be, familiar with the UI and all. So it would be easier for them. So
Huh, but,
anyway, there would be debate on this. Let's not get there. So my question is, what you also mentioned. I think the same point I raised. There is a huge disconnect between the Indian innovators or Indian businessmen who are trying to build something and consumers. They do not follow the consumers. They are just building something that can earn money. So they are
right,
essentially going after other businesses, right? The debate is endless. Let's get back to our usual course
right.
of questions. Would like to know what is your vision.
So yeah, my vision is very clear, right? As we are moving towards 2022 vision, right? Our next generation, I'm not talking about my generation, our next generation should be very much skilled, right? And me and people like me in India are trying to focus making a system out of your regular schooling,
Hmm.
okay, so that even a small job is preferred by you,
Hmm.
even if you are a metal worker or a farmer or a woodworker. You should not hesitate in doing a work, right? Because a very simple example I can say is a simple metal worker, those who do welding in metal that shop, right? They can even much better than a regular Indian engineering graduate, right? I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. Uh, Even if you say, if I give you a simple example of an electrician of your area, he
Right.
can even earn much more better than the regular graduate engineer, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So the reason is he is the one who have taken a small risk and jump into that sector,
Hmm.
right? And you are the one who have invested the biggest amount for your education and is still doing nothing. Okay, so this gap I want to fill, and people like me want to fill in industry. Just don't look for a job every time. That's my main motto, right? Some start doing anything, brother, anything,
Hmm.
right?
I think that is a lovely vision and very useful for our society. Now, would like to ask you what are the challenges you faced along the way while building this venture?
So, so challenges, first of all, like as we are running a makerspace. So makerspace, as I told, it's a facility of multidisciplinary things. Okay. But if you look around the people who can help you or who can mentor or advise you in your particular domain.
Hmm.
So eventually when I connected many people, like my vision is this, my vision is not to earn money right now. We will obviously, because we have to run an organization, so we want to earn money, but not now. So people started thinking from a very first day, like if we connect, what should I get in terms of money, like money and all.
Hmm.
But the very major problem till date now. Like people are always look forward, like, boss, you have 4 years, how much crores you have made. So I simply say, like, I have not make a crores of money so far. I don't want to, but I want to make an impact and a global organization where people can come and work together and teach, like guide together,
Hmm.
right? And the challenges is initially, obviously, it's a self-sustained company, so the funds has always been an issue. We cannot purchase $1 million of machines because, like, suppose setting up a single acrylic cutter machine will cost you around 5 to 6 lakh rupees.
Hmm.
But if that machine will not give you that amount of return, so why should you invest, right? So I have tried to, like, make a collaboration with many of the shopkeepers or the, like, people who have the machines or those type of systems, but
Hmm.
they simply give me, one of the reason is, you can simply pay us and do your work. But I say, like, whenever I have a work, you have to do it for me, right? So at that time of system, yes, obviously we convinced many of the people and we have many tie-ups now,
Hmm.
but initially days we faced those problems in market.
Hmm. Who is your role model when it comes to entrepreneurship? Who inspires you?
Yeah, role model, I will I have actually no one to pick it off because everyone is having their own role in their own life, right? Everyone vision is different. So I cannot compare or I cannot pick anyone from the industry. So I think he is or she is the role model, right?
Hmm.
I look myself as my own role model.
Hmm. Right. Very interesting. How do you compare entrepreneurship with a 9 to 5 job? Answer it very shortly. I think we have got very less.
Right, we are out of time. Okay.
Hmm.
So a simple thing, yeah, working for 9 to 5 for someone else, getting paid is much far, like you can say, not liked as you do work for 12 to 12, I'll say, in your own journey and making your own thing, right?
Hmm.
That will create a big impact. So that's why entrepreneurship and business, or whatever you say, startup, that's your own asset, that's your own baby. So it will good if you grow your own baby than someone else,
Right.
right?
Right. Very interesting thoughts. Now, my last question, rather, I'll divide it into two questions. How can
Mhm.
our audience start their journey as entrepreneurs? Let me tell you about our audience. They're mostly young people who are students or into their first job and who have a lot of potential of becoming an entrepreneur. So, how do you suggest they start their journey?
So, like, as a experienced person in industry, like this startup industry, I have also mentored many startups so far. But I will simply say 2 3 points that you have to keep in mind before starting your journey into entrepreneurship. The very first thing is, do lot of survey before jumping into the market, right?
Mm,
People always fail because they don't do survey. Okay, very very simple reason. You have created a mouse in India, but you have not seen your competitions, you have not seen the market, you have not seen the customer value. So obviously once you launch your product, you will not work run in market. That's the first thing. You have to do a lot of survey. Second thing, don't go for innovation always, right? What I prefer to everyone, innovation is not the solution of every problem, right?
mm,
Sometimes making a replica or making or doing a reverse engineering makes things good, right?
right.
So always see a market, what is the current demand and what you can make out of other things, okay? And the
Mhm.
third thing is, people nowadays don't take risk, okay? Just I'm saying, take a 1 hour 1 year of a gap, because a parents who can build you and teach you till 22 years of your life, they can easily invest 1 more year on you, right? So just simply ask them, give me 1 year so that you can work on yourself and give your best. If you can see in 1 year nothing is happening, just get into any job. There are like thousands of freelancing job in India, right? You can get into that and you can earn 15 20,000, and parallelly you can work on your things. After 3 to 4 years or 2 years, whenever you feel like, you can again give a try, right? But never stop. always give a try in every interval of time,
mm,
because we don't know whenever your idea can click and you can be in the market.
mm,
These are the three points that I have to keep in mind and give you the thoughts of my viewers and the person who want to start their own startups.
mm. Right. So Siddharth, I think that is a very interesting perspective you shared. You take a break, uh, you know, every once in a while. Once in so the point is not only for entrepreneurship, for everything else in life also. You should take a break and figure out things like what you are doing, whether you are going
Right.
in the right path, and that is what is missing in most of the typical Indian people or young people. They are on a constant train, on a train of constant. Uh, they're just running on a treadmill.
Right.
There's no stopping. You pass this 10th grade, then you jump into 12th, then engineering, then MBA, then do PhD, then do job, then suddenly you find that, then marriage, and then suddenly you find that you are old. You're very old to do anything, right? So I think that is one point everybody should note. If there is anything to take away from this video, this is the only thing. This is the one big thing that they should take out of this video. Right. So uh, I think we are almost up with the time. Anything else you want to tell to our audience? Your final message.
Uh, yeah, like I have covered almost most of the things that I have in my mind and I want to share. The last thing I want to just add on is, uh, like, don't like kill your child, right? As a person, you eventually grow in market, eventually grow in society, family. But what we do is, just because we are getting older, we always lost our childness, right? But
Mm-hmm.
the moment you lost your childness, you lost everything, right? So
Right.
think of a baby that you are being, and how innovative in that time you are, and just keep that spark in you. That will only keep you move heading towards your life, right? Because as we grow, we just only look for, like, we have to earn money, I have to uh, pay to my family, I have to take care of my family. Yes, everything is a responsibility, right? But eventually, how you look for yourself is the biggest part.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't love yourself, like, you cannot love anyone, right?
Right.
So that because you are not a baby and you cannot come to that age, but you just think of that era when you are, right, a baby. So just work like that enthusiastic way, so you can eventually get something out of it, right? Obviously.
Mm. Right. On that note, Siddharth, I would like to close the session, and I would like to tell you that it was a pleasure and a great honor to host you at ELI, and you are doing a great job for the society, for the country, and for the fellow entrepreneurs. Thanks for your time, Siddharth,
Thanks. Yes.
and our best wishes for Karkhana Makerspace.
Thanks a lot, Priya. Thanks.
Viewers, you can follow and connect with Siddharth, and he would be happy to connect with you as well on LinkedIn by searching for Siddharth Bhatter. Also, do visit their website by typing karkhana.club. Do let me know whom do you want to have here at ELI for next episode. Uh, we will be back before you know it. Stay tuned to Entrepreneur Launch of India.